Hey everyone! I am downstairs in our guest area because Manda is hanging out with a friend upstairs and they're chatting, and there would be a lot of cross chatter if I filmed up in the craft room. So today's project is the jack-o'-lantern pumpkin slouchy beret hat that I've been selling in my Etsy shop for years. I tried really hard to get you guys a tutorial and a pattern prepped in time for Halloween, and I know that is it's basically tomorrow. I'm shooting this on a Saturday. I'll probably be able to edit it on a Sunday and post it on a Monday, and then the next day it'll be Halloween. So I know it's really last minute, but I did the best that I could, and you can always use this hat pattern in different colors year-round just for a really cute little beret with like a little bit of texture on it, the texture that creates that sort of pumpkin-y look. This tutorial is actually really good preparation if you want to make the cupcake swirly beret that I also sell in my Etsy shop, and that pattern has been requested a lot. And if you make this hat first, it's a lot easier to figure out the technique to make the lines swirl. So if you have any intention of making the cupcake beret, I would suggest making this one first. So anyway, what you're gonna need is some orange worsted weight yarn. This is universal yarn in classic worsted. It's an acrylic wool blend. I like it because it's not itchy, but it has that easy care aspect of the acrylic. It comes in a really bright, vibrant orange, and it's in that worsted weight that I like. You know I love Lion Brand Vantage Choice. I just don't think they have an orange that's good. And this yarn actually might be discontinued. I'm not sure. I will look it up after I shoot this, and I'll flash in a caption if it's still available. But I used to buy all my Universal yarn online directly from Universal Yarn, and they might have discontinued this because they replaced it with a 100% non-pilling acrylic, which also comes in a really vibrant orange. But this is just what I had in the house, and I'm always into using what you have. So if you have an orange weight worsted, just use that. If you have Red Heart Super Saver, they also have a really bright orange in pumpkin, and I really like that orange. I don't know about making this hat in Red Heart. It's thicker than this yarn, so your hat might turn out larger. So if you use Red Heart Super Saver, I would use a smaller hook. Otherwise, your hat will be enormous. And this hat might already be enormous for you because my head is actually pretty big. But I've had people buy this hat for many years and it still works for them, so that's just something to keep in mind. You probably don't want to go into like a super heavyweight worsted like Red Heart yarn. And if you do, use a smaller hook or work in a really tight gauge. I worked in a pretty loose gauge, and when I used my orange yarn, I used an eye hook and worked pretty relaxed. You'll also need a little bit of green worsted weight. This is a light worsted weight yarn. It's Cascade 220 in Primavera, one of my favorite greens for when I'm making anything vegetable related. And then if you want to do a face, it's just a little bit of black felt and fabric glue. I like Fabri-Tac for this project. And for me, I also need black thread and a needle because I will sew around the edges too. I think it just makes it look neater, so that when I sold this item, I knew that it was really good quality, and I don't know, I just like that finished look. You don't have to put that extra effort into it if you don't want to, but it's what I recommend. So again, eye hook for your orange worsted weight, and then I used an H hook when I worked the stem just so it would turn out a little smaller. You don't have to. You can still use the same hook for the stem if you want, but it's up to you. I do provide gauge in my pattern, and if you want the full pattern written out, you'll have to go to my Etsy store and purchase it. Otherwise, you can just sit through this video and I will flash the written pattern at the bottom of the video for the whole time, so you don't actually need to purchase the pattern unless you really want to. You'll need scissors, a tapestry needle, and I think that's about it. You're gonna have a lot of options as far as what kind of personality you put on your hat. I can't wait to see all of yours. Remember, if you post your finished projects on Instagram, you can use hashtag TwinkieChan, but if you actually tag me in the photo, it's more likely that I will see it, and I would love to see them. And again, sorry this is last minute, but I'm sort of happy to get back in the saddle as far as shooting YouTube and prepping patterns for you, and I have so much in store for you later, but let's get started on this one. So we're gonna start with orange and an eye hook. I'm going to be working fairly loosely for me, like more loosely than if I were making amigurumi. So just crochet super relaxed. I'm going to put my slip knot onto my hook, and we're going to start with a chain 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then we're going to make a ring by slip stitching into the first chain. So to work a slip stitch, you insert your hook into the desired chain or stitch, yarn over, and pull through both loops. And you see you have a little ring right here. So for round 1, you're going to chain 2, which does not count as a stitch, and then you're going to work 12 double crochet into the ring. And to work a double crochet, you yarn over, insert your hook into the ring, yarn over and pull through 1, yarn over and pull through the first 2 loops, yarn over and pull through the last 2 loops. And there you have 1 double crochet stitch. I'll show you one more time. Double crochet is yarn over, insert your hook into the desired stitch, yarn over, pull through 1, yarn over, pull through the first 2 loops, yarn over and pull through the last 2 loops. So there's my chain 2. This is my first double crochet, and that's my second double crochet. And you're going to work a total of 12 double crochets all the way around. So that's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. And to end round 1, you're going to slip stitch to the first double crochet to join, and you should have 12 stitches all the way around. In round 2, we're going to keep increasing our stitch count. So start with a chain 2, which doesn't count as the first stitch, and that chain 2 will never count as a first stitch for this whole pattern. And what we're going to do is, if you know how to increase, you know that normally an increase is working 2 stitches into 1 stitch. We're going to basically do that, but we're going to work 1 front post triple crochet around the stitch and then work 1 double crochet in it or on it, and that's essentially how we'll be increasing. So this is what it'll look like. Front post triple crochet around the post of the first double crochet. So you can see this is the first double crochet of round 1, and we're going to work a front post triple around it. To work a front post triple, you're going to yarn over 2 times and then insert your hook around the stitch. So from the front to the back and back out the front, so you can see I'm around the stitch, not on it. Yarn over and pull through 1, yarn over and pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2 again. So you've made this super long stitch here. That's the front post triple crochet. And then you're going to work a regular double crochet into the next or second double crochet. So you'll see that loop is right here. It's the next available stitch. So double crochet into that stitch. You're going to keep repeating that all the way around. A total of 12 times, and that means you'll have a total of 24 stitches. So I'll do that again. Front post triple crochet around the post of the next stitch from the previous round, or from round 1. So yarn over twice, insert your hook around the post of that stitch, and then work your triple crochet. And then regular double crochet into the next stitch. Just going to keep repeating that all the way around until you have a total of 24 stitches. Remember, for this project, you don't have to crochet super tightly. You can keep your hands feeling pretty relaxed. You don't need to tense up about anything. And if anything looks confusing, remember this is a video that you can totally stop and rewind and rewatch things. Sometimes I get comments from people that are like, oh, you're going too fast, and sorry, I'm working out a knot in my yarn. It's almost like they forgot that they had the power to slow down the video, and I can't do the entire tutorial super slowly, otherwise, you know, it'll be like 3 hours of footage. So I try to slow down what I think is important, but if you need to watch things again, remember, just smash that stop button and rewind and watch the hard parts over again. So I'm almost at the end of round 2. I'm at the part where it says front post triple crochet around the post of the last double crochet from the previous round. I mean, it's basically the same thing, it's just your very last stitch goes in a different place and it looks a little different, which is why the pattern looks funky, but you're basically just repeating the same thing around and around. Your last stitch is actually worked into the slip stitch from the previous round. It's your joining stitch. You could work your way back here and stick your hook back here, which this is technically the first double crochet from round 1, but I find that doing that creates a thickness at this seam, so that's why I just work into that slip stitch. I know that's going to sound really confusing, and I don't know a better way to describe it, but I think as we keep going around and you keep looking at it, it'll get a little more clear. So that was my 24th stitch, and I'm going to join to the first front post triple crochet to join. Now we're at the beginning of round 3. We're going to keep going around and around and growing this circle and always increasing by 12 stitches. So you'll see that there's a motif and a repeated pattern here. So chain 2, and for round 3 you're going to front post triple crochet into that previous front post triple crochet, and then you're going to double crochet into the next free stitch, which is this double crochet here, and then work one more double crochet into the next stitch, which is actually the next front post stitch, but you're not working in the post, you're just working on top. And then you're always working your front post stitches into the front post stitches of the previous round, and that's what helps create that more three-dimensional effect. It'll create those bicycle spokes in your hat. So I worked a front post triple into the last front post triple, and then I'm going to work 2 double crochets evenly. And when we say working evenly, it just means working one stitch into the next stitch. You're not increasing or decreasing. So again, front post triple crochet into that previous front post triple crochet, and then work 2 double crochets evenly. And your last double crochet of that motif is into the next front post stitch, not around it, because then the beginning of your next motif is going to go around that front post. So we're going to continue working that 3-stitch motif around and around and around and around until we're all the way back at the beginning again. I'm about to work my last 3 stitches. So front post triple into the previous front post triple, and then 1 double crochet in the next stitch, which is technically the last stitch, and then 1 double crochet into that slip stitch, and then slip stitch to the first front post triple crochet to join. So at the end of round 3 you should have 36 stitches all the way around. And definitely count after each round, especially if you're a beginner, because if you have any missed or extra stitches in the beginning, it's just going to get worse and worse and worse as you go. So always count and just make sure that you're at the right stitch count. So round 4, we're just going to keep increasing some more. Chain 2. The motif for round 4 is front post triple into the front post triple, of the previous round, and then 3 double crochets evenly. 1, 2, and then the last one is actually in the top of this front post stitch. 3. And then you know to start the motif again. So front post around that last front post, triple, and then 3 double crochets evenly. 1, 2, 3, and you should be back on top of the next front post stitch. Then again, front post around the front post, 3 double crochets. So repeat that for a total of 12 times again all the way around, and your stitch count at the end of round 4 should be 48. I'm at the end of round 4, my last 3 double crochets, and again that very last double crochet will be into the slip stitch from the previous round. And then slip stitch to the first front post triple to join. And again, 48 stitches all the way around. Round 5, same old thing, except adding 1 more double crochet into our motif. To begin round 5, chain 2. We're going to front post triple crochet around that previous front post triple crochet, and then you're going to work 4 double crochets evenly. So 1, 2, 3, and then your 4th one will be in the top again of that previous front post stitch. And then begin again. Front post triple around that previous front post triple, and then 1 double crochet in the next 4 stitches. And that 4th stitch, or that 4th double crochet, should land at the top of this front post stitch. And do that again 12 times total all the way around. Your stitch count at the end of round 5 should be 60. This is the last motif of round 5. This is 1, 2, 3, and then the last double crochets in that slip stitch, and then slip stitch to the first front post stitch to join. Round 6, same dealio, chain 2, and then front post triple around that previous front post triple, and then you're going to work 1 double crochet into the next 5 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then that last one is in the top of this next front post stitch. And then just repeat that. Front post triple around that last front post triple, 5 double crochets evenly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All the way around. 1 front post triple, and then 5 double crochets evenly. Work that last double crochet into that slip stitch, and then slip stitch to the top of your first front post triple to join. At the end of round, what is it, 6, you should have 72 stitches all the way around. You can see all these little spokes that are forming to give your hat. It's almost the reverse pumpkin texture. It's not exactly like a real pumpkin. I think it just gives the idea of a pumpkin. Okay, we're going to continue with round 7. So chain 2, front post into the front post of the previous round, and you're going to work 1 double crochet each into the next 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then my 6th double crochet will be at the top of the next front post stitch. And just repeat that again and again and again until you're all the way around. Front post triple around this previous front post triple, and then 6 double crochet evenly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and my 6th is in the top of my next front post stitch. Just keep going around. And slip stitch to the first front post triple to join at the end of round, what is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. At the end of round 7, you should have 84 stitches all the way around. We're going to start round 8. This is actually going to be the last round. We're going to increase our stitch count. So chain 2, front post triple crochet around that previous front post triple crochet, and then you're going to work 1 double crochet each into the next 7 stitches. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, which is in the top of my next front post triple crochet. So do that again, around and around, a total of 12 times. So it's 1 front post triple and then 7 double crochet evenly. This is the end of round 8, and you should have 96 stitches all the way around. So you can see how it's a circle. Sorry, I'm using a fixed lens, so I don't have a zoom for this, but you can see how it's a circle. And now we're not going to increase our stitch count anymore. We're going to maintain the stitch count for rounds 9 to 13. And in order to maintain the stitch count while still working in front post triple crochet, we actually have to work a decrease, and I'll show you how we're going to do that. Before you start your decrease rounds, you might want to run a tape measure across the diameter of the hat. It should be at about 10.5 inches. If it's smaller than that, that's totally fine. I have kind of a big head. If you're getting to like 11.5 inches across here, your hat might be getting too big. So you either have to take out a couple rounds and switch to a smaller hook, or work a little more tightly. I do provide a gauge measurement in the pattern, so if you make a gauge swatch before you start your hat, you are less likely to run into any fit issues. But I find that measuring right after round 8 is probably a good idea, just to make sure that you're roughly going to have a similarly sized hat to mine. The other thing I'm going to mention about these next rounds are that normally when I'm working in the round, and if I have an increase or a decrease, I will work that increase or decrease into either the beginning of a motif or at the end of a motif. But for this particular pattern, we're going to be working the decrease in the middle here, in between the front post triple crochets, because otherwise, if I work the decrease in the beginning, it'll start pulling my front post stitches a certain direction, and then I'll start getting like a curvature in this line, which is what we sort of play on with the cupcake swirly beret, which I'll probably do a tutorial for fairly soon because it's so similar to this. except the lines are just curving. But for this pumpkin hat, we don't want any of that curvature, so that's why our decrease is going to be worked in the middle, or rather in between the two front post stitches. It keeps them nice and straight. So to start round 9, we're going to chain 2, work that front post triple crochet around that previous front post triple crochet, work 1 double crochet each in the next 3 stitches, so 3 double crochets evenly, 1, 2, and then 3. Now we're going to work our decrease stitch, which is abbreviated DC2 TOG, DC2 together, double crochet 2 together, and essentially you'll be working an incomplete double crochet here, and then another incomplete double crochet here, and then finishing them together. So we're going to be turning these 2 stitches into 1 stitch in the current round. So to work that decrease, yarn over, insert your hook into the next stitch, yarn over, pull through 1, yarn over, and pull through 2 loops. Here's your partial double crochet. Now you're going to work your next partial double crochet, yarn over, insert your hook into the next stitch, not the same stitch, yarn over, pull through 1, yarn over, and pull through 2. Now you've got 2 incomplete double crochets sitting on your hook, and now you're going to complete both of them at the same time. So yarn over and pull through all 3 stitches. You can see how they sort of form like a triangle, because the base is 2 stitches and the top is 1. To finish this motif, you're going to work 3 double crochets evenly again. And that last double crochet, as before, is going to be in the top of your next front post stitch. That's pretty easy. You're just going to keep doing that around and around. I'll show you one more time. So the front post triple crochet goes around that previous front post triple crochet, then 3 double crochets evenly, 1, 2, 3, and then you're going to work your DC2 together. So I yarned over already, insert your hook into the next stitch, yarn over and pull through 1, yarn over and pull through 2, yarn over, insert your hook into the next stitch, yarn over and pull through 1, yarn over and pull through 2, yarn over and pull through all 3 stitches, and then 3 double crochets evenly to finish that motif. And just do it again. Front post around the next front post stitch, and proceed around and around. Again, you're going to end the round with a slip stitch into, whoops, talking crocheting at the same time. You're going to end round 9 with a slip stitch into the first front post stitch of the round. And rounds 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13 are all exactly the same. So you'll maintain your stitch count all the way until round 13. And all of those rounds are going to look just like this, with that double crochet 2 together in the middle of your other double crochets. So I'm not going to pause after each round like I have been before, just because all the rounds are the exact same thing for like the next 4 rounds. So I will come back to you when we're about to do the finishing on the hat. Oh, actually, I do want to mention, since we're no longer increasing, your hat's not going to keep looking like a flat circle anymore. It's going to start forming a bowl shape. So I don't want you to be alarmed by that. That's supposed to happen. That's all a part of giving the hat its shape. I'm now at the end of round 13. I'm going to slip stitch into my first front post stitch to join. And after rounds 9 through 13, your stitch count should always be 96 stitches, so make sure you've got 96, because in round 14, we're going to start really decreasing and really giving the hat some shape. I don't know what you call that part of the hat that goes around your head. It's not really a brim. I don't know, it's just like the edge of your hat. I don't know. Let me know what the heck to call that part of the hat. For round 14, we're going to chain 1 instead of chaining 2, because we'll be working in single crochet. We're going to work 4 single crochets evenly. So since we haven't worked a single crochet yet, I'll show you how to do that. Insert your hook into the desired stitch, yarn over and pull through 1, yarn over and pull through 2. That's 1 single crochet. One more time. Insert your hook into the next stitch, yarn over, pull through 1, yarn over and pull through 2. I'm going to work 2 more. And then we're going to work a single crochet 2 together decrease. So this is a similar idea to the DC 2 together, except this time we're working in single crochet. So you're going to insert your hook into the next stitch, yarn over and pull through 1, insert your hook into the following stitch, yarn over and pull through 1, and then to finish both of those stitches at the same time, yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. And that's your decrease. In this motif, you're going to repeat the single crochet 2 together. So insert your hook into the next stitch, yarn over and pull through 1, insert your hook into the following stitch, yarn over and pull through 1 again, and then to complete both single crochet stitches at the same time, yarn over and pull through all 3 loops on your hook. Now you should be back at your next front post triple crochet. Again, there are no front post stitches in the hat anymore. These are all just regular stitches. So you're just going to be working in the tops of everything and not going around any posts. So you're going to repeat that motif 12 times all the way around. So again, that motif is 4 single crochets evenly, 2, 3, and 4, and then single crochet 2 together once, single crochet 2 together twice. And you should be back at the next front post stitch again. Keep doing that around and around. 1, 2, 3, 4 single crochets, and then 2 single crochet 2 togethers. Finishing the last single crochet 2 together of round 14, and then I'm going to slip stitch into the first single crochet of the round to join. For rounds 5 through 19, which is the end of our hat, it's just single crocheting evenly around. So to begin round 15, chain 1, and at this point your stitch count should be 72 stitches all the way around, so that means you're going to be working 72 single crochets all the way around. And I don't think I really need to show all of that on camera. It's really simple. Now after each round, you're going to slip stitch to the first stitch like you've been doing for the whole pattern. And then just again repeating the pattern for round 15 until you're at round 19, which is the end of the main part of this hat. If you don't want to work a stem or a little squiggly vine, then you would actually just be finished. But I will show you how to make those other pieces too. It's the last single crochet of round 19. Slip stitch to the first single crochet to join. Then I'm going to break off my yarn. So break off, leaving like, you really only need like 6 to 8 inches to work with, like 6 inches of yarn. And to finish a project, all you do is yarn over and pull the end all the way through, like this. It makes a little knot that secures itself.
pretty zoomed in, so I don't know if you can see what the shape of the hat is at this point, but it's looking pretty cute. I'll show you zoomed out after we weave the ends in. If you're more of a beginner, I like to underline how important weaving the ends in is, and it's a pain. No one likes it, especially if you change a lot of colors and there are a ton of ends to finish. No one likes that part, but it's really important that you make an effort to do it well so the ends don't pop out, especially if you intend to gift or sell your work, because you don't want all those ends to end up sticking out. So not a good look for you. So what you do is, with your tapestry needle, you weave the yarn inside a couple stitches, so like 3, 4, 5 stitches inside, and you know that your needle is inside when you can't see it. I can see it a little bit right here, but I mostly can't see it. So if you can't see the needle, it means you won't be able to see the yarn. Don't tug too hard or you'll alter the shape of your hat. And the trick here is, see, we ran the yarn in this direction. You want to weave back through to the next round and weave it in the opposite direction. And it's that change in direction that helps keep that tail secure. Sometimes I'll even do it one more time. So weave down to a third round and go inside a couple more stitches here. Or don't pull too tight. And then you can give it a clip. It's nice and neat, and there's a very low likelihood that that will come out. And you have to come back and also weave in your end from the beginning of your hat. So from the top, your hat looks like a big old circle with some cool spokes coming out of it. And from the side, it kind of has this cute sort of poofy, slouchy, beret-y look. That's where your head's gonna go. So I will show you how to make a cute little stem and vine squiggle for the top of your pumpkin hat. Okay, sorry about this crinkly sound. I had to move downstairs to film because Amanda has a friend over and I don't want my talking to you guys to disturb their conversation and vice versa. And I'm actually working on a surface that's AstroTurf. Not that you guys really care. But if you're wondering what that extra sound is, that's that. And luckily, we're pretty much done with the hat, so you won't have to listen to much of the AstroTurf sound. Okay, we're gonna make the stem, and this is Cascade 220. It's a lighter weight than the orange that I worked with, so I switched to an H hook. You can use the same weight. Your stem will just end up probably a little bit thicker than mine, which is not bad. It's just, I don't know, this is a color and a weight that I like, so you can use what you have. With grating your H hook, make a magic circle, or, as I like to do, I just chain 3, 1, 2, and 3, and then slip stitch to the first stitch to join to make a ring like that. For round 1, you're going to chain 1, and you're going to work 6 single crochet into the loop, or into the ring. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And don't worry if there's a hole here in the middle. You can always use your yarn tail to tighten that up. At the end of round 1, you are not going to join the round, so just continue to round 2, where you will 2 single crochet into each stitch around, so that'll be a total of 12 single crochet. So 1 and 2 in the same stitch, 3 and 4 in the next stitch, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Count your stitches all the way around just to make sure you don't have any extras or that you aren't missing any. And at the end of round 2, you're going to slip stitch to the next stitch to join. So this is the top, the flat top of your pumpkin stem. In round 3, you're going to single crochet evenly all the way around in BLO, which means back loops only. You can see whenever we work in a stitch, I tend to pick up 2 loops. But for BLO, you pick up the one in the back only. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, oops, 11, and 12.
Steph, the chili was awesome.
Oh, I'm glad. I'm filming right now, by the way.
I'm so sorry.
Amanda just told me she ate my chili and liked it. I don't know if you guys are able to hear that or not, but I just thought it was funny because she doesn't know that I'm already filming down here. Okay, at the end of round 3, don't join your rounds. But for rounds 4 through 8, you're going to work in both loops again. And rounds 4 through 8 are simply just working around and around and around evenly in single crochet. And you actually don't even have to count these rounds. This is the part where you're making the length of your stem. So you can just keep single crocheting evenly until your stem is as long or as short as you want it to be. This is really up to you. It's up to your own taste. And my suggestion for working 5 rounds evenly of single crochet is just my preference. And it's the pattern that I used for my crochet helpers when they would help me make these for my Etsy shop. So I'm just passing that suggestion along to you, but you can actually do whatever you want. You could have the longest pumpkin stem in the world if you wanted. Just keep crocheting around and around. After you've worked either 5 rounds or you've reached a point where you're happy with the length of your stem, you're going to slip stitch to the next single crochet to join, like so. And now we're going to work on the base of the stem, which is round 9. And you're just going to repeat this one motif 6 times for 6 little triangles that form the base of the stem. So here's your motif. You're going to chain 4, 1, 2, 3, and 4. You're going to skip that first chain, then work 1 single crochet. Then you're going to work 1 half double crochet in the next chain. Now we haven't worked half double crochet in this tutorial yet, so I'll show you how. For half double crochet, yarn over, insert your hook into the desired stitch, yarn over and pull through 1, yarn over and pull through all 3 loops on your hook. And then in the last chain, you're going to work a double crochet. Back here on round 8, you're going to skip 1 stitch and then slip stitch to the next stitch, like this. Sort of see you've made 1 little triangle-y sprout coming off of here. You'll get what it's supposed to look like after you make more. So you just repeat that 6 times all the way around. So I'll do 1 more. It's 4 chains, 1, 2, 3, 4. You're going to skip the first chain, work 1 single crochet, and then 1 half double crochet, and then 1 double crochet. You're going to skip 1 stitch from round 8 and then slip stitch into the next stitch, like this. You can see what's forming here. So keep doing that 4 more times. So after working all the way around with my 6 little base triangle-y things, I don't really know what to call these parts of the pumpkin, so I'll just call them things. You want to give yourself enough yarn to sew this to the top of the pumpkin. So I'm going to break off about 24 inches of yarn like so. And then again, to finish a piece, all you do is yarn over and pull this long tail all the way through. Oops. And you're going to weave in, well, if you don't have an opening that you need to sew up, you can just stuff this end in here and call it a day. You don't really have to weave it in. But I feel like I have kind of a hole in the center, so I'm going to take my tapestry needle. I'm just going to pop it inside out. And as I weave this through, I can tighten up that hole a little bit. The last part we're going to crochet is the vine curl, or I guess it's just part of the vine, and it's really easy. So just get a slip stitch on your H hook and then chain 19. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, and 19. You're only working one row for this pattern, and you're going to skip that first chain, and in the next chain you're going to work 2 single crochets. That's 1 and 2 in the same chain. In the next chain, work 1 single crochet. That's it. You just repeat that basically a total of 9 times down the chain for a total of 27 stitches. So again, the motif is 2 single crochets in the first stitch, 1 single crochet in the next stitch, 2 single crochets in the next, 1 single crochet in the next. You might be wondering why I'm not working 2 single crochets in every chain. And the more you increase, the curlier this piece becomes. So for my preference, crocheting 2 single crochets in each chain was just too curly. It was too tight of a curl for me. But you can definitely experiment with that. You might prefer that look, and that's fine too. It's just up to your personal taste. You should even experiment with crocheting 3 single crochets in one chain, or rather in each chain. It'll get super, super curly. I'm at the end here, and you don't need to break off a lot. It's just enough to sew like the bottom of that stem to your hat. You really only need about 8 inches to work with. I'm going to yarn over and pull this all the way through. And this is what your little vine curl looks like. It's like a little bit curly, but not super, super curly. And then we're going to go ahead and sew everything together. So before we start, you actually want to stuff the inside of the stem a little bit, and if you don't want to go out and get a bag of polyfill stuffing specifically for this project, it's a small enough volume where you can just use a little bit of green yarn, stuff that right in, and it'll help keep this shape. That's plenty of stuffing. So I'm going to take my long tail and find my tapestry needle somewhere. Here it is. Just string that on. And if you want, you can pin this down first with straight pins so that you know it stays right in the center of the top of your hat. And then you're just going to go ahead and sew around all these edges of the bottom of the stem along all those little triangles that you made. My backdrop is falling down. You can't really see. Ooh, ooh, ooh. There we go. As you can sew this little vine squiggle to the base here, I just think it makes it look a little bit cute. Gives your hat a little bit of movement. Not that that's essential, but okay. So here's a little thing I do. It might be like a little bit anal, but I try to find my join on the brim of the hat. So it's here, I can see it. And I put my yarn squiggle kind of pointing down to it so that when I wear my hat, the seam or the join will be at the back of my head and not like the front of my head, and then this will just be dangling behind my head. So I'll take one end of this and run it through my hat here, and I'll just tie it and weave in the end. So weave it on the inside of a couple stitches. I'm going to hide my yarn tail inside the stem and trim it. And do the exact same thing with this other yarn tail, so it secures both sides of the base of this little vine squiggle. So the final step, if you want to do this, is to put a jack-o'-lantern face onto the front of your hat. And you can use whatever shapes you want. You can do like 2 triangles for eyes and a triangle for the nose, or you can use circle eyes, or I don't know, you can do any number of faces, whatever your favorite jack-o'-lantern face is. This has been my go-to. I do triangle nose with circle eyes that have other tinier circles cut out of them, like this. And you should probably pin these down and then carefully try it on, because sometimes, you know, when your head is in the hat, things spread out and they look different, so you want to make sure that all your facial features are exactly where you want them. And then what I do is I glue everything down with Fabri-Tac. I like this one because it dries quickly. Mostly use this to sort of tack my pieces down, and then for a nice edge I sew all the way around each facial feature with needle and thread. You probably do not need to watch video of me sewing all the way around these things, but I thought I would just get you going in case you were like, I wonder what that looks like. It doesn't have to be a million stitches, it's just enough to make sure that your felt isn't going anywhere. And, I mean, if you're really good and precise with your gluing and thorough and not messy and it looks good, with the glue only, you don't even really need to do this part. But I have always sewn around my felt faces, especially for pieces that I sell in my Etsy shop. It does take a little extra time, but I just think it just makes everything look neater and more finished. My jack-o'-lantern or pumpkin hat is 100% done.
I hope you guys had a ton of fun making your jack-o'-lantern, pumpkin, slouchy beret hats. Again, I can't wait to see your finished projects. If you post any pictures on Instagram, hashtagging TwinkieChan is a great way for me to see it, but even better if you actually tag me in the photo. It's easier for me to find that notification. I have a long list of projects I can't wait to share with you guys, but if you have any suggestions or requests, go ahead and leave a comment here in the YouTube comments, or anywhere on my social media. I'll have links for that too. But yeah, have a wonderful and safe Halloween, and I will see you guys very soon. Bye!